mentally unstable or a fugitive and a felon. But that's what brings me to my next point. The second proposal is a certified background check. The same way you do a background check on a handgun. And for all intents and purposes, that's right, I got the pink barrette out. And yes, if you haven't noticed, for all you safety sallies, they are unloaded. Anyway, and for background checks, and I'm very much for that, because again, I don't believe every nut out there, because there's a lot of nuts out there that wouldn't pass it. And with the constitutional right, they could have nothing on their record, but still get a gun, and yeah, I don't agree with that. Now, what I like about going through the background check is usually with that background check, you have to take some form of class or take some form of shooting training. And the reason that I don't necessarily agree that they should go through shooting training, but more so a class, because the majority of people in Wisconsin, the majority of us shoot a lot. But if you're proficient with your firearm, that doesn't necessarily mean in a sticky situation you're not going to freeze. Like Corey in prior videos. Up until a couple weeks ago, he open carried. I didn't necessarily disagreed with it, but if he was in a sticky situation, he's one of those type of pacifist guys that would get his gun taken away and he would get shot because he's never been put under stress. But now that he's done some of these run and gun videos, he's getting better. And then I'm bringing Go Fast Shoot Smart into him, and he's got some work to do, but he's coming along pretty nice too. But again, I'm no firearms instructor or trainer by any means. I just go by with what I've learned in my life.
And you're smart about it.
I try to be. And so I believe that we should have background checks and some form of training. Like this last weekend, I went through a CCW class, and I'm getting my non-resident Utah, or my Utah non-resident concealed carry license, or my concealed carry permit that will most likely be honored by the state of Wisconsin. That being said, that's pretty much concealed carry. Do you have anything to add to that?
What are your thoughts on what they should do? Say someone moves to Wisconsin from out of state, already has a concealed carry permit, and say they pass it where to get your Wisconsin concealed carry, you have to go through an entire shooting class, go through all that. How do you think they should do that for someone moving that already has one?
Well, for instance, if somebody were coming from Utah or Texas that already has a concealed carry permit, I don't believe that they should have to go through a Wisconsin CCW class, because they've already gone through the CCW class. But the one thing that they should go through is either A, just do a shit ton of research, or B, just run a class on the basic legislation, so the basic laws on what you can and can't do. That, I believe, should be a requirement for the people who come into this state with already a CCW. They don't necessarily need the training or the CCW class itself, but they are going to need to be familiar with the laws. That I agree with. Run an hour, 2-hour class on it, because it's not going to be as extensive as the CCW class. So that's my thoughts on that. Got anything else?
I personally think that, say Wisconsin does pass the concealed carry law, and someone goes through, does a class on concealed carry, gets their Wisconsin concealed carry permit, buys a new firearm and walks into a shop, and as it stands now, you buy a firearm from a shop, you have to have a case to have it leave. Are they going to allow you to conceal carry that weapon out of the shop? I don't think they should, because the person's not adequate with that firearm. Granted, say in your sense you have an M&P, say you buy another M&P, it's not going to shoot exactly the same, you're not going to be proficient with it. Maybe there's something you have to tweak, like a sight, move a sight one way or another, and you buy this new M&P and you haven't modified it yet, but you're still concealed carrying it. I don't feel like you would have the knowledge of that firearm to be for lack of better words, a safe concealed carrier?
Well, that is also a very good question. And again, last night in my class, I learned a lot. They didn't touch that on all, but this is more or less common sense. Anybody who carries a CCW permit is generally a person of honor, integrity, and common sense. First and foremost, common sense. That person is going to know that that firearm that they just bought, they're not going to feel comfortable themselves concealed carrying it because they know of the firearm. They may have shot in it in the past, but every gun is a little different. Every gun shoots a little different. So they personally are probably not going to conceal carry that unless they have some range time with it. Or going home and, checking out the trigger control, the basic functions of the firearm, where the magazine release is, getting, essentially, whether you're open carrying, whether you're deer hunting, whether you're concealed carrying, you want to know your firearm better than you know how to put underwear on your body. Because that firearm is part of your everyday carry. It's like carrying a knife, which I usually have one here, but I apparently don't. It's like carrying a knife. It's like carrying a pen, a watch. It's part of your kit. Your gun is going to go on pretty much right after you put on a watch, or on a side note, a paracord bracelet. You want information and you want to learn, or you want some of these, they're awesome. AJ does fine work with paracord bracelets. Anyway, get in contact with Go Fast Shoot Smart's channel and he can probably hook you up. Anyway.
You do touch on a good point though. Like, you need to be adequate with your firearm before you carry it. Please, that's all I ask. Because you can go buy a brand new out-of-the-box firearm, and who's to say there's not a manufacturer defect where after 2-3 rounds it jams on you because of something that unfortunately went wrong at the manufacturer, which yes, they are tested, but who's to say something doesn't go wrong in a high-stress situation where you're in a convenience store, you just bought this firearm, someone has not the best intentions, and you want to be the hero of the day, protect your life and the lives of other people, and you take out one guy, take out the second guy, there's a third armed person, and your gun jams on you. If you don't go out to the range and don't know that, then you're kind of SOL.
Well, on the same note too, anybody who's proficient with a firearm, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that firearm. If they have a catastrophic failure, like a failure to feed or a double feed, or a failure to go into battery, that person's going to know how to clear it. Because most semi-automatics, they all run on the same principle. If you have a double feed, that person, even though that may be the first time he's touched that firearm, but most semi-automatics are set up the same way.
But okay, you can have that general understanding, but in a high-stress situation, say you think, okay, I have clear view of all three people, I have a full magazine, I'm going to be able to save my life and the lives of other people because I have 3+ rounds, there's these 3 people. You take the first 2 shots, it jams, that third person has a clear target at you.
That is true. Then in that instance, because of the situation, what you're going to want to do is try to remove yourself from that situation and get out of the line of sight. If you have a catastrophic failure, and again, if you go to any CCW class, they're going to teach you. Any CCW class will teach you how to be very safe and teach you all the finer points of carrying, and even in those high stress situations. And again, anybody who has a CCW permit generally has a lot of common sense. So basically, I mean, for me, there are 3 and 4 different safety rules with that, and I'm going to leave it on this note because I don't know how much time I have left on my camera, but when it comes to CCW, it's just in any form of shooting, whether it's you're going out to the range, whether you're carrying it concealed, open carrying, be sure your target what's beyond. Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Treat every firearm is always loaded. if you have a firearm here, you know, have the mindset. Every firearm, there's never an unloaded firearm. It could be totally empty, but there's never a unloaded firearm. They're always loaded. If you have that mindset, you will never ever have a issue. Anyway, and then also keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And my last and final rule: don't be stupid. But at any rate, this is Lock and Reload with Go Fast, Shoot Smart. This is our 2 cents on CCW and trying to inform you. Catch you later.